Welcome to the Starting Over podcast. I am your host, Edward Shelton, aka Dark Logos, and this is the show where we look at the strategies, tactics, and mechanics behind the game of heroclix. It's been a rough week, and I know this is a really late show. Pretty much what ended up happening is I was recording an episode of The Quarry, and it went long, like almost 3 hours long, and then editing, and that went long, and it's still not done, and then I had to do another recording so that I could try to do an episode for The Quarry, and then it was like, okay, and then that editing took up time, and then I went out dancing, and then went to work. So it's been trying to get stuff to Howard before technically it's Monday, so it's just been busy. Anyway, today's show, I'm pretty much just going to primarily talk about I'm primarily going to talk about growth and quitting in the midst of growth. And that's a tough thing that a lot of us are really facing, definitely when you're in the midst of it. And then lastly, we'll talk about some money stuff, about, options to buy and whatever else. Also, shout outs to my man, Laura Cardinal, and his diceaddiction.com for helping the brother out on getting some more of Light stuff. So big shout outs to him. So anyway, let's get going. This all sort of starts with a story. So last Monday, when you're probably listening to this, I went to bachata dance lesson, and bachata is a very simple dance, but it has a lot of complicated stuff that you can do in it. And so I consider myself a mild bachata dancer. I'm not, hyper caliente, but I can cut a little rug in my day. You know what I mean? So I go to class, primarily to learn routine and try to do routines when I go to the salsa club, or at least try to add other things into my dancing. If I can't do the whole routine, I might add a step or something. So I get to class, and my teacher had just came back from a big, huge conference, and the primary teacher and one of the other teachers for the studio, secondary teacher, they were exhausted and tired, and but they were sort of excited because they had learned, a whole new routine while down there. Well, routines, talked to some of the more well-known dancing studios on the East Coast and all this cool stuff. And so they were, looking forward to share some of that experience with us in class. And so my teacher starts off, with the warm-ups. We do all the warm-up stuff. And then he's like, check this out. All right, here's the routine. And I'm going to show you the whole routine from start to finish. And so he shows me the whole routine, and I'm like, oh, wow. And he just does it like, this is nothing. Okay, cool. Now he then says okay, breaks it up, and we partner up and we go through, each stage of the routine. And what becomes a bit striking is that, he broke up this whole routine into 3 parts, but in the midst of that, I am struggling to do every part. There's always something I'm tripping on or trying to come back through and look at, and then do this other thing, and or my feet aren't fast enough. And in the midst of it, there's five guys in the class and about 6-7 women. I'm feeling like I am not just the odd man out. I feel like the worst student in the class. And I'm at that moment, I'm like, Edward, you're good enough at bachata where most of the people that you dance with enjoy dancing with you. That's all you need. You don't need to come back to class. You're good where you're at. And that sort of struck me, that I had that thought that once it became difficult, right, I saw what was the next level. I decided to say inside of myself that just due to the resistance that I was feeling, that, oh, this might be too hard. Maybe should stop while I'm ahead. Who wants to see routines in the club anyway? Like, well, anyway, so that's one of the first things that struck me was I was willing to quit in the middle of class. End of the class comes, I can sort of barely do the routine. And it's all right. It's not the greatest, but it's doable. It looks better than, the guy that's, day one starting to dance. As clumsy as I pulled it off, it still looked pretty decent. Okay. So then, Saturday night comes around, and I go to the salsa club, and I'm dancing with a friend of mine that's pretty regular. And I see someone that I haven't danced with in a while. So I go introduce my one friend to my old friend, and go, dance with my older friend. And my older friend said something interesting. She said, "You've gotten a lot better since the last time I saw you." And I'm like, well, okay, thanks a lot. I don't hardly see it. But she said, like, yeah, September, this is January now. She's like, yeah, I haven't seen you since, September. You've gotten a lot better. So that's several months, and I've almost been doing this for a year. Now, I told you those two long drawn out stories for a reason. When you're in the midst of growth, you're going to hit walls that are painful and acknowledge that you are weak. And that acknowledgement of weakness to sort of compensate for your ego not wanting to feel that, you'll readjust and re-scope things to narrow it down and say, hey, but I am the master of this little area. I'm the greatest, dancer with these types of people. I appease 80% of the population with, my product. I don't need to go further. That mindset in heroclix will lead you to a very comfortable local meta, but it will not allow you to expand beyond that. Okay. At the same time, as you go forward, those people that you see in, periodic intervals will notice your growth or your decline. Okay. And that's one thing in particular in the game where I can notice when certain players are not the players they used to be. Not just from, their pieces or whatever, but their tech selection, their motivations of doing certain things, the thought that, old tactics are classic, like they'll always be around, where, that's not necessarily the case. Like if you go back almost a year now, I ended up having to readdress the whole concept of stop, the support, telekinesis, outwit, perplex, and probability control, and just say like, yo, like that doesn't work anymore. It's not that cut and dry anymore. That acronym is outdated. You have to look at, these other categories, such as, denial, clicks recovery, because it's not just using support. You have things that just like automatically heal you. You have stop clicks. You have crazy stuff like that. And so you can see that even in heroclix, if a person doesn't take time to evaluate themselves, evaluate the meta, evaluate, old gems and old tropes and even more so old tactics, then you just sort of say like, well, that gem is tried and true and timeless, and that doesn't work in a game that's in flux. I mean, if you're saying like, hey, here's chess, which is locked down with X amount of pieces, and there's no, new piece added to chess called the cavalry, or the cannon. We'll take it back with the cavalry because technically a knight is cavalry, but there's no new, piece, called like the cannon or the siege, mechanism or anything like that. There's no new move beyond en passant, which you now have like treaty or ceasefire or something like that. There's nothing like that in chess. So yes, over a period of time, the game sort of locks down into a series of play. Okay. And that creates a interesting situation where while you might have a breadth of play, it is locked down. I mean, there's very little development that you can do in chess. I mean, I always play like a classic gambit, and when I was playing, it was really popular with people running the dragon formation, which and it's a huge gambit if your opponent knows how to like play through it. But if you mess up in the dragon, you die. But anyway, sort of going back, the one thing that I see with newer and older players, but primarily with older players, is that the pursuit of getting better just hits them, and the incentive of getting better, or that will to fight for the nature of personal growth in the fight, sort of dissipates over time into this pointless cycle of prize support, self-pleasure. Okay. And I know that sounds weird. It's like, hold up, but they're winning and they're getting prize support, so it's good. And this is where I sort of come back to you, as you, the listener. Are you wanting to get better to become a better player, or are you wanting to get better to get prize support? Because the two motivations might overlap, but they are not one and the same. Okay? If your goal is to get prize support, then yeah, there's a point where you can pop in, listen to my show every, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or once a month. Listen to a show here and there, get some random musings, listen to my set review, and you're good. You're going to be able to keep up on your prize support, look at a rock team here and there and just clone it and then go out and play. Okay? And trust me, I'm not that naive to think that there isn't net decking in heroclix really hardcore. Okay? Maybe a little less than it was, 2 to 3 years after I started playing. But definitely like net decking is hardcore in heroclix. People still, just go out there and do it. Well, why is that? Because it's about prize support. It's not really, about getting better. And again, I pointed this out, is that you can go out there and buy most of the prize support for like $20, $30. Heck, if you drop $30, like when the set comes out, not even later on when all this stuff drops, you drop $30 when the set plot comes out, you can buy prize support off of eBay, like full prize kit. Okay. So, if getting the pieces are that big of a deal, you have to ask yourself, and the amount of money that you spend in gas to the venue every week and back and forth from home, and snacks and everything else that you did, is it just worth it? Is it just cheaper just to buy the prize support? And the answer is yes. It's just cheaper to buy the prize support. And even out of all the prize support, we've only had 1 or 2 figures that have really, quote unquote, impacted the meta in the last year and a half. And I think the only big one is Blind Owl. Whoop-de-dee-doo. I'm not Blind Owl. Bill Agent of Aim. Oh gosh, a little tired. I'm doing this after work, so bear with me. That's how dedicated I am to getting this show out to you. And so I mean, and I know I see this in like the hot shot kid that comes in and he goes and he buys his new fancy, really powerful cannon figure, and he's like, check this out, and he wins a tournament or two, and he's like, yes, I am awesome. Check me out. I'm great at this game. I beat regulars, and the first time the guy won, you're like, oh, okay, good for you, chap. And then the second time you're like, okay, I got to get my steel toe boots out so I can, kick him in the nuts. Like that's that feeling that you have, that comes in, and this kid will bring absurd stuff, and he wins more on luck than on skill. and it'll say, this priceless gem. It's like, X figure is great because when I played with him, he rolled so many critical hits. It's like that has nothing to do with the figure itself at all. Okay. So that's something that you need to keep in mind is as you're progressing, as you're looking at, your next stages of growth, are you just, sort of slacking off and being not trying to be better because you don't have any inward motivation? Are you just looking at the situation and just saying, well, I'm winning enough, or I win enough for my own personal pleasure, and then that's enough. I don't need to win more. I don't need to be better. I don't need a deeper understanding. I'm good where I'm at. I can stop here, get off the bus, enjoy the land that's around here and the scenery. Forget the bus is going, into a better place. Right here is where I'm getting off because I'm content being here and I don't want to continue paying the bus fare. And that's the thing. Now, here's one of the interesting problems that I had to face recently, going back to the dance floor thing. I was pressed to do this routine in dance class, and I go to the club. I have a friend, she goes, and just like FYI, ladies might harp on, dudes, that are shorter than them and stuff like this. The main girl I dance with when I go out, play to dance Latin dance for the last few weeks is she's like 6'4". The average guy is like 5'8". I'm 6 foot, and in my dress shoes, I'm 6'1". Okay. Anyway, her arms are again a little slightly longer than mine, but I'm able to turn her, above her head because the height difference isn't that much. Like the average guy can't do that. And so that's why most women would be like, I want a guy that's taller than me. So when they wear their heels and stuff, yeah, that, guys will be able to dance and do other stuff with them. They still are not towering down on the guy. But anyway, the main thing I'm sort of coming back to is my main dance partner. She's tall. And so she texts me and she's like, yo, check out this routine. I want to do this next weekend. And so I'm like, wow, this routine is complex, but it's not as complex as what I learned in dance class. So if I put some time in it, I could do it by next weekend. But if I had came into that understanding in myself of, you know what? I'm good at where I'm at. I don't need to grow. I mean, what would happen to my dance partner? I would lose my dance partner because she's continuing to grow to be better for herself. And then I stop growing to be content in myself. And then the other end of that is the eventual apathy. And then the apathy goes back and it leads into the fall ones and the fall number ones in your venue, the people that win and they think they're legitimate and they think that they're on the top when in actuality that they're not. So if you haven't listened to that one, go back and look at those, listen to those episodes. Of course, this is January, so they're going to be, in 2014. So definitely listen to that episode where I talk about the fall one and the symptoms of that. And you'll definitely start to recognize oh yeah, that does happen when people really stop trying to grow. They'll throw money at the game. Gosh, throwing money at the game is the number one symptom of a fall one, but it's also the number one symptom of a person in decline. I've bought entities. Okay. I'm not going to front. I bought entities. I saved up and grinded my butt off to buy them. I have Black Hand, Ophidian. I just finished getting Ophidian, Parallax, the entity, Proselyte, and Adara. I'm done. I don't need Predator and I don't need Butcher. Okay. I'm not a fan of Butcher anyway. That's just me. I might find a use of it in the future And if I need it for Gen Con, well, I'm going to buy it. But going back, someone might say, Dark Logos, you bought entities and you're just throwing money at the game. That's all you're going to do is play these entities, and these entities are going to win for you. And I would say, no, these entities provide me options. They help me do certain things. They help me accent my characters, helps me, stack on a continual tactic that I'm working with. They do not create a situation in which I am on auto win and that I pay to win. That's not how it works. I still have to understand what I'm doing to get some level of depth. If I'm going against a weaker player and I have a lot of high rarity characters and a semblance of what I'm doing and just smack some entities on that, yeah, the odds are severely in my favor. But if I go against someone that is aware and knows what they're doing, then just by having entities alone or not, it's not going to get me over. And that's why you'll get complaints by certain people. And it's like, oh my gosh, they nerfed this. It sucks so bad. And I spent so much money on blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, can you adapt? And pretty much your griping indicates that you can't. The game space constantly moves and shifts. That's why it stays dynamic. If you don't have a dynamic mindset, then you can't operate in a dynamic environment. And so when one stagnates and doesn't continue to grow or doesn't want to keep moving down the path of self-improvement, then of course you're just asking to eventually come fodder for whoever is willing to adapt and grow until you decide to move on. One thing in WizKids' event system and the way that they've been doing things recently really encourages lack of player growth in the terms of skill. I'm not against participation prizes. I'm really not. But I do think that participation prizes in the long term breeds a wrong mindset inside of humanity, because it tells you that you deserve something of quality just for showing up and for existing, even though you did not apply any effort to receive it. I see it in like the dating circles, some dating circles I operate in. I know women, and I've talked to women that expect great guys with super cool jobs and ambitious and driven and love, everything about them, but they don't make any time for the guy at all. They still, volunteer in 15 different places, and, they have their career and they're going to grow all that. I'm like, okay, cool. You do, all right, great. But you still have to make time to date. You have to make time to grow. You have to sacrifice stuff so that you can grow somewhere else, and so it gets frustrating. And I also know dudes, they're like, I want hot chicks and I want them to be all over me and this, that, and the other, but they don't want to spend time and, getting better with women, interacting with women, talking with women. I mean, shoot, and this is not me bragging. It's like I've gotten numbers just because, hey, I know how to dance, and B, I engaged them and asked them a simple question of, so what is your field of expertise? Listen, and then dialogue back on the subject matter. Okay? And in a club environment, the salsa club, I mean, it's not the freaking Sodom and Gomorrah club that's across the street, but that's a whole different story. It's not typical. Half the guys go in there like, hey, let me buy you a drink to again, artificially lower your standards so that then I can get the number and then possibly make out with you in the club and cop a feel. And then sexy bachata grind on you after I give you some more drinks. And then when I get your number, the next day you're probably not going to remember me because I pumped you full of drinks. Whereas women the next day will talk to me like, oh yeah, hey, I remember you, doop, doop, doo, 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 you're cool. And then whatever she decides on from there is whatever. But you see the difference between the mindsets. One mindset comes in as a guy says, I deserve this. And then I just play this narrative where I lower and weaker the person I'm supposed to, value. and then boom, I get it. And then the other, interactions, what I primarily do is just say, hey, I work for my interactions while demanding interaction from her. And if she doesn't want to continue down the path, it's cool. I got like 5 other numbers that I'm working. Okay. So when you come back to participation prizes in heroclix, it's like the high profile woman saying, I deserve a man because I'm a high profile person and I work and I do all this quality stuff. So inherently I should have these things. Or the guy that's like, oh, I look sort of decent and I should have a hot, wife, girlfriend, or whatever else, on me at all times. It's unrealistic. It just is. But the participation prizes perpetuate that mindset of, oh, I go and play heroclix and I paid for this event, therefore I should be getting something. And trust me, most of the time when I paid for events when I first started, I was frustrated because I knew paying an entry fee for the event, there was no guarantee that I was going to come out for it, being beneficial. That, a good chunk of the time I was throwing money into the wind just to play people, to get better, because no one was teaching me. There's very few resources about getting better at heroclix. There's very little understanding about concepts in the game and whatnot. Okay. So, I mean, I understand definitely if you're a new player and this is your first episode, I would say, hey, thank you for listening. Go back, and start way back. You have months worth of stuff to listen to so you can level up and become a better player. Don't, chug it down, too fast, take it in and grow. But with that, mindset of, okay, I deserve something. You can't have that if you want to become better. At no point in time do I go to any tournament and it's like, you know what? I'm freaking Dark Logos. I do 2 heroclix podcasts. People know me. I deserve to be first place at this tournament. Now, really think about how stupid that is. Okay, I know really good players, and I've played against really good players. And for me to say, daggone it, I'm freaking Dark Logos. I interview champions. I walk with champions. I got best friends as champions. I'm championed up around here. I deserve to be a champion too because I'm around champion people. I help make champions, fool. You know what's going on? You see what I'm saying? Okay, I don't even know how I got super hood in that moment. Anyway, it's like that. Oh yeah, because all the moment I start thinking about Spring Breakers. That was a horrible movie. But anyway, look at my stuff. But anyway, if I had that mindset, what type of tech would I be throwing out to you? Like, outside of the, the head game things. Like if I'm like, okay, let's just look at the mechanics here, blah, 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 blah. You can see this does this, this, and this, and this. And then if you develop this and blah, 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 blah. Like really, if I had that entitlement mindset, what would happen? I mean, this show would be a lot suckier. I mean, yeah, it would just be a lot suckier. And you wouldn't be, here. You would be, somewhere else listening to, some other podcast, Yeah, pretty much. So that's the main thing is you have to determine as a player, like, why are you growing? And at some point in time, you have to grow for yourself. There is a point in which, you can get burnt out, take a break, come back. The game will be here. Everything that's in the set in which you left will be dirt cheap when you come back and available on eBay or on trade somewhere on HC Realm. So don't stress. Be like, I'm going to miss out. You're going to miss nothing. You're really not going to miss nothing. If you're already burnt out or you're not financially in a place to, throw down ducats, then don't. I mean, heck, I'll be honest. I pretty much bought my entities by, doing a ton of work, mentoring, and also just putting in, some grind time at work. I didn't go broke like getting entities. All right. I'm definitely looking at freaking Adara. Like, yeah, I definitely didn't go broke getting you. But I also didn't buy my entities at freaking $150 each. Well, okay, I did for Parallax, but that was for Gen Con. And I pulled Proselyte, and I traded for a Black Hand. But the other three, I paid like under $100 each. I don't even think I'm gonna get Ion. Like, his stats suck. There's only like one character that's really, really boss with him, and that's Absorbing Man. So yeah, Absorbing Man gets stupid with Ion. Like, a lot of folks don't know that. Like, he gets, oh gosh, just so dumb. Anyway, so that's mostly it for that front. So let's talk about economics a little bit, like for some upcoming stuff. And this is just mainly for you to, keep your eye open for like what's coming down the pipe. And I'm going to talk a little bit about Trinity War, and I'm going to talk mainly about the next wave of, I think it's technically not OP. It's like big event crap that they're going to do. And I also saw that they had the solicitation for like Nick Fury and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or some crap like that. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, here's the first thing. Like, going into the War of Light, like CTDs, you're going to need 2 to 3 CTDs to guarantee that you're going to get all of the constructs. So right there, you're looking like $120, maybe more. Now, a lot of you all are like, oh my gosh, that's stupid expensive. And I'd be like, yeah, it's about the cost of the case. Again, WizKid's main goal is to make sure that you keep spending those ducats and you get less so they make more profit. Okay, that's their goal, is just make you buy more so that you get less. Now, I'm going to assume that the Green Lantern constructs are probably going to be the chases for those CTDs. So whatever you buy, just keep in mind this: your best bet is not to buy singles. It's just not. Statistically, it's not in your favor. Okay, your best bet is to just go out, and this is me saying this, so just, you gotta have some weight to understand this for me to say it. Your best bet is to just go out and buy a flat CTD for yourself. Okay, because I think it only comes like with 24 constructs, so you're not even going to get a complete set of one Lantern Core with one CTD. Like, it's not going to happen. Okay, so when you have that in mind, you're like, okay, so I'm going to get all these extra constructs and blah blah blah. You're still, if you just buy like 2 CTDs, you're still going to end up having to trade. So definitely get you and your buddies around and, work something out. Because if you buy 2 CTDs, you should have, what is it? Like, we were short, like the Green Lantern sniper rifle and the bulldozer, I think, or something like that. I don't know. I know they didn't get the bulldozer. So that's probably going to be in the packaging or whatever. So everybody's going to get one of those, so you don't have to stress. Okay, the next thing you got to determine is, like, for me, I have all the lanterns, so I want all my lantern crap to be there. But at the same time, I also know, like, hey, some of these lanterns I really am going to play more than other lanterns, like Orange Lantern, Star Sapphire Lantern, maybe White Lantern here and there. I'm hardly ever going to play Black Lantern. Like, let's just be straight up real with it. Like, unless it's like October and it's like Monster Mash or something like that, then I'll play Black Lantern and be like, oh, zombies, but that's about it, So you can start to see, like, just right there, like, where I would be prioritizing, my constructs. So this time I'm going to say, like, for the War of Light stuff, like, get your pre-orders in, buy that stuff, make sure you get your two cases. I mean, not 2 cases, your case or whatever the heck it is for 2 CTDs, and just open that up, mark out your sets, see what your extras are, and then just trade between your friends. Because if you have three of you that go in and buy two CTDs, you should have a complete set of everything once you shift out your extras, unless you start dealing with those clone CTDs. Like, that sucks so hard when you get that. But if you all get clones, go on eBay like day one, like, and put that out there, sell them, and then go buy what you want. Like, that's the one thing right now that I look at my habits, that if I went back to buying bricks and cases, I would like open everything up, day one trade and day one sell. Like whatever's left, like make just batches and just be like, boom, like here's a batch of crap, just buy it. Like I'm just trying to get some money back. I'm not even trying to get it all back. Here, boom. Okay. That's it. Like if you look at it, and that's going to lead into our next sort of concept. I mean, our next set. I think it's the Avengers set thing that's coming out, where it's pretty much like 3 months or 4 months or something or whatever. We get the freaking stupid Avengers cards and stuff. Really, I hate to tell you this. Like, just sit it out. Just sit it out. Like, maybe play the first one where you get the resource or whatever. But for the rest of it, just sit it out. Because here's why. Look at all that War of Light stuff that you have. Look at all the chases from War of Light. Okay? What has happened in less than a year from which those chases were introduced? Those prices have gone down. But they were freaking stupid. Okay? They did something completely stupid. I doubt there's going to be something equivalent to an entity possession in the Avengers set. Okay, the gods of the Marvel continuum do not possess their human counterparts. Okay, so I don't see that happening. Yeah, I don't really see that happening. I don't see someone getting possessed by Thor. Okay. With that being said, if you're like, oh my gosh, this guy, Captain Marvel, is awesome, or Photon, or whatever the hell she is now, which sucks because she should have been freaking Captain Marvel. And I don't even know. Pulsar? Is she Pulsar now? I don't even know. That sucks. And anyway, I'm not going to go into that. But yeah, you have that, and you have like, oh, it's oh crap, I forgot his name. Blue Marvel. I was about to say Blue Sentinel. I'm like, oh, wait, that's not right. You have Blue Marvel, and, or somebody that's unclicks that you're like, that's my favorite guy. Then yeah, go pick up that character, but don't go and spend boosters. And you're going to be like, but what about the stores? And they won't do this again, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, true. But in all honesty, there's enough stores that are like, the OP event stuff is really only worth it on the last month if you want to go in to try to win that big, huge, giant thing that's completely worthless, that sits on your shelf as a testament to your victory. That's all it is. It's a trophy. It's a glorified trophy that you can play with. And I say that looking at my Batcave, which I have not used in a long time. Okay, it's a glorified trophy. I've used my Phoenix Force. I've used my Book of the Skull. I've used my Power Plant for all sakes. More than I have the awesome looking, Batcave. So it's frustrating. I know me saying that, and I know some vendor owners are gonna be like, "Shut up," but really. Like WizKids has sort of painted a stupid corner for retailers. It's like, well, you can't wait. You can't sell it until we say so. Well, we have to make sure that we sell all our crap and get that out and be able to give it away. And then when we're done doing that and we got ours, and then you can get yours. But good luck, because the market's going to be flooded then. And that stuff is going to be worth absolutely bunk. And so that's the problem. You couldn't even have somebody come in and say like, hey, I want to trade in like all my stuff from from not Fear itself, from War of Light. And I want to get store credit because the store is like, I can't sell this without losing my WizKids license. Like you're selling alcohol in a club, it's like I can't have people under 21 in, or else the cops come in and I get fined and I get shut down. It's not worth it. It's really not worth it. So, the retailers, yeah, I feel for you. It's stupid, but when I look at it as a player, overall, and in all honesty, the way it's set up, and definitely like the events like 4 months, I just better off just sitting, waiting for everybody to do their trades and whatnot, buy more product, do more trades, buy more product, do more trades. And when everybody is trying to recoup their last bit to go buy that one last guy, that one last figure, then I just like, oh yeah, I'll buy you cheap, you cheap, you cheap, you super cheap because you're a common, and pay about a third of what I would have done if I bought blind boosters, because even still, I would have to go on eBay to pick up other pieces that I would want as well. So it's just an inevitability. Now, I know if they start doing chases again, it's like, oh, but that chase, I can go get those chases, but blah, 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 the chases. Okay, I'll say this. At the prices the entities were, just the straight prices the entities were when they came out, and the amount of War of Lights that I played, if I didn't play any War of Lights, but even before the nerf to the entities, if I didn't play any War of Lights and I took all the money that I spent on War of Light, you know what I could have done? I could have bought all the prize support. Heck, my friends would have thrown the prize support at me of how much there was left at the end of it, okay? So I didn't even have to worry about that, okay? I could have gotten at least 3 entities. At least 3 entities. And I'm not talking Black Hand. If I just went straight to eBay. Just straight up. Just straight up. So, just realistically, I hope WizKids doesn't put chases into all these paid OP sets and stuff, but seems to be the way that they're going to be doing. And the Ultra Chase, ooh, the Ultra Chase is so dumb. But everybody's desensitized to it, so that's how it's going to go. I do think that this year, hopefully they do reduce the schedule of product, but the way it seems they're doing 2 on, 2 off, which is 2 Marvel, 2 DC, 2 Marvel, 2 DC, and then if they do like a CTD, it's going to be like a standalone thing. Like, I don't think they're going to do like standalone CTDs that are attached to the main set. Like, you won't get like what's coming up here, Trinity War countertop display, hopefully, or what was Captain America countertop display or something like that. Hopefully we won't get more of that, because that stuff was just dumb. It was, and really what sucked about that is that most of the product designed for the CTD, there was either 1 or 2 figures that were like exceptional, and the rest of it was crap. Like, the biggest example was Wolverine and X-Men, where you had that Jean Grey, that 100-point Jean Grey, which was super boss. You had that Havoc that was really good, and then you had the Colossus, which was a little bit above par. The rest of those figures sucked so bad. So anyway, that's pretty much it. All right, so that's the total end of my ramblings. Yep, that's it. So you can follow me on Twitter at StartOverPod. It came from outer space, and it told me the ways of doing the Starfall dance. Unfortunately, if I do it, it could mean the end of Earth as we know it. You can find my random musings there. Maybe some warnings here and there, like, hey, show's coming up. Also, you'll know when a new show's up. You can hit the subscribe button. I would appreciate it. Even though YouTube doesn't like me that much and puts my show at the bottom of your YouTube queue of new updates, you can still find out when a new show is available. Not only that, it does help me up my rankings on the YouTube search engines. I don't think I'm going to overtake Glass Cabinet Films anytime soon. Or even Dial H, which is sort of hilarious. I've had my channel longer, and I still like Dial H has more subs than me, but it's all good. I'm gunning for trying to like get up to Married with Clicks, but even then, they got a ridiculous number of people to sub to them. But anyway, oh yeah, you can. Yeah, it's late. You can tell. You can email me at startingoverpodcast@gmail.com. That's startingoverpodcast@gmail.com. If you wish to opine, keep it piffy, keep it interesting, keep it awesome, baby. And you can go to the blog if startingoverpodcast.blogspot.com. You can donate to the show. Anything that you donate to the show will go towards like prizes for the show. Primarily just cover mailing stuff, because half the stuff I give away is like stuff that I have or I get. So like, I don't know if I get like another like CTD handed to me, I'll do like another huge giveaway or something like that. I don't know when I would get another CTD of something for free, but if it happens, I'll give it away. Also, if you want to pay for my services, you can hit the donate button. It's $15 for an hour or $5 for a game with no commentary. We just play a game and you test out your team for your rock or whatever else, and I will bring whatever I deem necessary as the best options on the table. So, or you can request me to play something in particular, as long as it isn't crap. Like, I'm not, paid to, if you want to pay to, play me, hopefully you want me to play something serious, not like playing, a bunch of like 3 copycats or something like that. Like that's not going to be fun for any of us. And yeah. Yep. So that's it. I need outro music. You want to do outro music for me? Let me know and PM me. I like my intro. Greg Place music. What's up, son? I like my intro music. But if you want to do some outro music for me, let me know. I might need to hit up Wise and make him do an outro song for him, since I can use Spider-Man again, but I sort of don't want to. But anyway, I'm tired. All right, that's enough rambling. Thank you for listening. And remember, we all have to start over sometime.